Sensors are sophisticated devices that are frequently used to detect and respond to electrical or optical signals. A sensor converts the physical parameter, for example temperature, blood pressure, humidity, speed, etc., into a signal which can be measured electrically. Let's explain the example of temperature. The mercury in the glass thermometer expands and contracts the liquid to convert the measured temperature, which can be read by a viewer on the calibrated glass tube. Different types of sensors. Type 1, temperature. This device collects information about temperature from a source and converts into a form that is understandable by other device or person. The best illustration of a temperature sensor is mercury in glass thermometer. The mercury in the glass expands and contracts to depend on the alterations in temperature. The outside temperature is the source element for the temperature measurement. The position of the mercury is observed by the viewer to measure the temperature. There are two basic types of temperature sensors. Middle dot contact sensors. This type of sensor requires direct physical contact with the object or media that is being sensed. They supervise the temperature of solids, liquids, and gases over a wide range of temperatures. Middle dot non-contact sensors. This type of sensor does not require any physical contact with the object or media that is being sensed. They supervise non-reflective solids and liquids but are not useful for gases due to natural transparency. These sensors use Planck's law to measure temperature. This law deals with the heat radiated from the source of heat to measure the temperature. Type 2, IR sensors. This device emits and/or detects infrared radiation to sense a particular phase in the environment. Generally, thermal radiation is emitted by all the objects in the infrared spectrum. The infrared sensor detects this type of radiation which is not visible to the human eye. Advantages. Middle dot easy for interfacing. Middle dot readily available in the market. Disadvantages. Middle dot disturbed by noises in the surroundings such as radiations, ambient light etc. Working. The basic idea is to make use of IR LEDs to send the infrared waves to the object. Another IR diode of the same type is to be used to detect the reflected wave from the object. Type 3, UV sensors. These sensors measure the intensity or power of the incident ultraviolet radiation. This form of electromagnetic radiation has wavelengths longer than X-rays but is still shorter than visible radiation. An active material known as polycrystalline diamond is being used for reliable ultraviolet sensing. UV sensors can discover the exposure of the environment to ultraviolet radiation. Criteria to select a UV sensor. Middle dot wavelength ranges in nanometers, nm, that can be detected by the UV sensors. Middle dot operating temperature. Middle dot accuracy. Middle dot weight. Middle dot power range. Working. The UV sensor accepts one type of energy signal and transmits the different type of energy signals. To observe and record these output signals, they are directed to an electrical meter. To create graphs and reports, the output signals are transmitted to an analog to digital converter, ADC, and then to a computer with software. Type 4, touch sensor. A touch sensor acts as a variable resistor as per the location where it is touched. The figure is as shown below. Touch sensor. Figure 5, figure showing touch sensor working as variable resistor. A touch sensor is made of middle dot fully conductive substance such as copper. Middle dot insulated spacing material such as foam or plastic. Middle dot partially conductive material. Principle and working. The partially conductive material opposes the flow of current. The main principle of the linear position sensor is that the current flow is more opposed when the length of this material that must be traveled by the current is more. As a result, the resistance of the material is varied by changing the position at which it makes contact with the fully conductive material. Generally, software is interfaced to the touch sensors. In such a case, a memory is being offered by the software. They can memorize the last touched position when the sensor is deactivated. They can memorize the first touched position once the sensor gets activated and understand all the values related to it. This act is similar to how one moves the mouse and locates it at the other end of the mouse pad in order to move the cursor to the far side of the screen.